And welcome, YouTube viewers. Sorry about the excessive volume yesterday. For some reason, the volume was maxed out, so I don't know what happened with the musical accompaniment. We have shut that down a bit today here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We're starting out today's daily space weather video, YouTube exclusive, with the colorized magnetogram and 171 angstroms imagery. So we've got massive sunspot here, 3014. As it approaches the limb, the likelihood of major solar flares goes up. We'll be covering that, coronal holes, coronal mass ejections, and more. Let's start a little bit closer to home here and look at the magnetohydrodynamic pressure around Earth. This is Earth's magnetic moment from space over the past 4 hours. Things are looking pretty normal here. We've got a somewhat of a high-speed solar wind at the moment at over 500 kilometers per second as the coronal hole high-speed stream continues. We'll get to it first. Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Getting even closer to home before we go back to look at things in space. So that's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. It looks like there are some aurora likely in the past 4 hours. And that whole run is 4 hours. That's geospace ground magnetic perturbations. Changes to Earth's magnetic field. The KP index is at 3. Again, we've got a high-speed coronal hole wind stream still arriving. We've got some chaos in the electron flux as well. Make sure you view us on Twitch. If you haven't, twitch.tv/smashomash. Our bonus features segment will be an exclusive over there. And here's the real-time solar wind. Again, still an elevated solar wind speed. Current conditions are, well, we'll say over 500 kilometers per second. Looks like they're actually approaching 550 kilometers per second here, but significantly over 500 kilometers per second. Solar wind density about 8.16 protons per cubic centimeter. By the way, NOAA is forecasting some very geomagnetically calm conditions, and the radial flux is still at 165 solar flux units. Let's take a look at some magnetic data. So here's the GO16 and GO17 magnetometers over the past 3 days. Let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet next. Earth lies in a south pole current sheet, shown in red. No expectation of that changing anytime soon. We can expect most incoming solar activity to be in the northern hemisphere, as we've seen, for the most part, for the past couple of weeks. Here's a line of sight view. You can see only red there to the left side. That's a continuing south pole-oriented current sheet. Next, let's move on to coronal holes. Here is your line of sight coronal hole plot, and we've got some rather well-defined and trans-equatorial south pole-oriented coronal holes here, rotating right into the Earth-facing strike zone. Yes, the strike zone. And here's a visual of that in 193 angstroms. That is a south pole-oriented coronal hole there, as the solar polar field reversal process starts to pick up in earnest. Did you know we're explaining the solar cycles? We'll get to it. First, sunspots. So sunspot 3014 is absolutely massive. 3017 is quite massive as well. They're both quite magnetically complex. They're beta-gamma class sunspot groups. And 3014 is beta-gamma delta class, as you can see here on the detected sunspot groups imagery. This area over here, 3021, also quite magnetically complex. Don't be surprised to see some flaring from that. The southern hemisphere sunspots are quite a bit less complex as we speak. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can change suddenly, and that sunspots and coronal holes are magnetic features. Here's 1700 angstroms, and you can see the size of sunspot 3014. There's been a little bit of umbral migration in the past day. There's been a little bit of growth of sunspot 3017 and some umbral migration. Sunspot 3021 has grown as well. So, again, likelihood of flares really high, especially as 3014 approaches the limb. Don't be surprised to see an M or even X-class flare, or multiple M or X-class flares. By the time you saw this video on YouTube, there would have already been 2 live streams on our Twitch channel, thanks to our new followers over there, twitch.tv/smashomash, our primary source of live streaming. So, we're explaining the sunspot cycles, and those posts are only for Gold Smash Team members. So, if you're going to drop us $9.99 a month, you can be the first in the world to know the hypothesis, the plausible hypothesis, on the mechanism driving the solar sunspot and solar polar field reversal cycles. If not, you'll have to wait until the paper is submitted for peer review. So thanks to our Gold Smash Team members, this is probably your biggest reward that you've gotten yet. If you want to join at the gold level, again, it's $9.99 a month. You can sign up at smashomash.com/smashteam, and the best value is the 1-year annual paid-up subscription. You can get complimentary merch as a result of that, and everybody at the gold level is able to obtain an @smashomash.com domain email address. Have you noticed pathetic censorship on the internet? Have you noticed a complete lack of accountability in a banana republic-like state all around the world? Well, we certainly have. And some of the fraud and misrepresentation going on planet Earth is documented. So, I mean, we're just waiting for some accountability, because guess what, folks? Accountability always comes. I would say to each of you, Universum Liberate, Mansa, make America not suck again, and Mensa, make Earth not suck again. If you think I'm somehow aligned to a political party, think again. If you're going through hell, keep going. Whatever you do, don't pole vault the caldera. Do check out our links. You can find them on the homepage at smashomash.com, the Redbubble link, links to our social media. Give Smash staff a raise by picking up merch or becoming a patron. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord chat there. So welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what your favorite social media is. We're probably already there. And thanks to Smash staff for all your hard work. Next, looking at the GOES proton flux over the past 3 days. There you have it. No spikes in that. No relativistic particles showing up. And flaring has been quite minor here. It's been ramping down a bit, but we are still at a background C-class X-ray output. So when you just have this ongoing, like this right here, that's not what you'd call a flare. That's just the X-ray output. These little spikes, you could say they're flares. And we're expecting some major fireworks on this graph coming soon, especially, again, as sunspot 3014 approaches the limb. That sunspot right there certainly has the capability to produce major flaring. So this is a 24-hour video from the SDO. This wavelength you're looking at is part of the extreme ultraviolet spectrum. It's 131 angstroms. A species of ionized iron. And yeah, again, likelihood of major flares, very, very high. And let's continue on to show a star chart. So we've drawn in the ecliptic here. It's the yellow line. The blue line is the galactic plane. If you're up before dawn, you may see spectacular stuff up there. Saturn, the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus, all rising ahead of the Sun. Also Mercury now rising ahead of the Sun. If you've got a low horizon, perhaps check out Mercury just before sunrise. May not be visible yet, but it'll get a little higher in the sky. Next, a solar system forecast. The moon woke me up today by shining in my window. Let's advance this 1 week for the 1 week solar system forecast. Here's where things will be in a week. We'll have a new moon, my favorite phase. Shout out to all my reverse werewolves out there. As all the planets organize on one side of the solar system, you'll have people on YouTube claiming that the planets are going to kill us. One of the many nonsensical things said on the pathetically censored platform. Next, some coronagraphs. It's the Soho-Lascaux C2. And that's just today's activity. We're going to show a little more extended imagery as well. Shout out to our viewer who turned us on to that link. So The Soho Lasco C2 is located right here at Lagrange point 1. Let's show the view from stereo A as well, and the Soho Lasco C3 from Lagrange 1. To see no earthly directed coronal mass ejections, for you new viewers out there, the Earth would be off in this direction from the perspective of stereo A's coronagraph. It would be behind you from the perspective of the Soho Lasco C3. Again, no earthly directed coronal mass ejections at the moment. Likelihood of major flares very high. And let's close out the video with some additional imagery of the closest star from the SDO. So here's some composite imagery. It's showing you 3 different wavelengths there. 2 of those are ionized iron. 1 of those is ionized helium. The ionized helium is in red. The iron is in green and blue. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Don't forget to press like and subscribe if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content. Tell your friends and foes about us. Press share, press notify, etc. Hit us up on social media at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name and News. We wish that solar wind be at your back.